Welcome to episode 48 of the This Isn't Fun Anymore podcast. Today the boys discuss the movie Pixels. It's filled with not spoilers, but warnings. So you gotta check that out. Listen to what they think of this video game, quote-unquote, movie. Was it a quote-unquote about video games or movies? You'll have to find out.
That's for you to decide.
Then we get a little bit into personal news. Was somebody diagnosed with something? You'll have to listen to the end. So here come the boys. The boys with the toys and the noise. This Isn't Fun Anymore podcast, episode 48.
Dude, it's an ice cream.
Pixels!
Yeah, we'll let you finish your rap. It'll take a couple minutes.
This is going to take like 45 minutes. Who could also have played Peter Dinklage's role? First thought, Vin Diesel.
Oh, I thought you were like burlap sack.
Vin Diesel would have been great.
No.
You don't know his thing about Vin Diesel though.
Not
really?
only would
Yeah.
he be believable as a giant muscular guy who is a huge nerd,
Yeah.
but he'd be in another great movie.
Do you think the casting director, when they're like, okay, we got Peter Dinklage, now I need you to find a young Peter Dinklage type.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh god, really? Okay.
No.
I think they did a good job, but
They
I'm
did.
just on paper. I was like,
I mean,
that probably was a
as
hard
good a
task.
job as they could have done with any of it.
Yeah.
Because the entire opening was annoying as hell.
When I saw that kid, I was like, oh no, I hope grown-up Dinklage doesn't act like that.
Yep. But he was doing a grown-up Dinklage impression. He had obviously seen some tape of how Dinklage was playing it.
Yeah. Also, we have just gone right into the episode. We haven't even. This is not even banter. So
No.
let's just do an intro real quick. I'm Chris.
Yeah.
Phil's got a McSandwich in his mouth. I think that's what they call him.
I'm over here.
And today our guest is everyone's favorite.
Everyone's favorite.
Our movie critic expert.
Yes.
In the area, Jake Jarvi.
Yep. You've been here now. You're tied for the most in-house appearances.
Yeah, sure.
And now you will have the most amount of episodes, if that makes sense. Because the one time
No,
we
I'm
split
pretty sure
into
you
two
guys
episodes.
still have more than me.
Oh yeah, but Caitlin, because Caitlin was here,
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
Well,
she
no,
had
that's-
tied you.
That's true.
Yeah.
But no, so I'm glad. I'm glad that I have this opportunity to take the title back because it's
Right.
very important that I have the most guest appearances on this podcast.
Right, and if you couldn't tell from our banter, we went and saw Pixels.
We saw the movie Pixels!
Yep. Phil is so
It's
excited.
opening day!
We stood in line. I mean, we were the line, but
Yeah. No, I mean there was more people in that theater than I kind of expected there to be based on all of the buzz on Pixels.
yeah, but I mean it's opening night, Friday,
7 o'clock showing.
summertime.
Sure.
So that's why there was a handful of kids there with their parents.
And I'm glad they were there because it made me understand the audience for this movie.
But no, I mean that's the thing we had talked about from the beginning of when we heard about this movie. It really seems like they were trying to focus the movie towards like our generation or slightly older, like the people that were the actors in the movie. Like Adam Sandler and his friends, like that crowd. It was so early '80s,
Absolutely.
like in your face all the time, like. Not even just the games, but obviously the references, the music, the stuff they showed on TV, which even we didn't know about some of the things because it's like
Yeah.
it's so obscure.
When Hall &
Time out.
Oates showed up, it
on
was,
SNL, yeah.
Time out. Everyone on the podcast, we have to get this. We're going to talk extensively about the movie Pixels.
oh yeah,
yeah,
spoiler
I
alert.
guess.
There's going to be...
You don't want to see Pixels.
Hey,
though.
yeah, exactly. I think it's what's the opposite of a spoiler is us talking about it.
Warning,
Yeah,
guys.
this is a warning.
This is a warning for
This
you
is
to
a
not
public
see
service
Pixels.
announcement.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's not entirely true either because I think, like, yes, all of the references were super early '80s.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Hall & Oates were when they showed up on the screen. I was like,
No,
must be
yeah,
somebody.
yeah.
I thought it was Corey
That's
Feldman
like
for a
the
second.
everything else was like pop culture. So it was either famous things of obviously you got Reagan, you got Madonna,
Okay.
and we got
The reason these things are appearing are
okay.
like, are we doing that?
I
thing
guess
too?
if we're just we might as well just spoil it.
Everybody. We're about to spoil Oscar bait movie
No.
Pixels by Sir Elton John and Adam Sandler.
I don't. In all honesty, I don't think there's anything that you could do to spoil this movie, and it's not because.
Let me give a plot synopsis if I could.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah, whole thing.
Okay.
Aliens attack Earth.
Yeah, they knew that.
Adam Sandler saves Earth.
Okay, wait.
All right, now
that's a spoiler.
Yeah.
No, because the entire idea is like how they could tell that from the trailer. The whole thing behind the movie is that it's just like how the jokes are going to land, and if you are a certain type of human being, probably pretty well. The guy behind us, we'll get to him.
Yeah.
Or if you're a kid, because other than all the references and music, this was absolutely written as a kid's movie. It had all the logic of a kid's movie.
So no logic is what you're saying?
Yes.
And see, especially at the beginning, I had this problem where I thought they were both spending way too much time on something and also rushing through things at the same time. Like, the scenes were way too long, but they were rushing past the important events, and it was all just like exposition.
Yeah. It was like, you need to do this now, and then
Right.
let's stop and
Let's say
vamp
this.
on like maybe Adam Sandler being interested in Michelle Monaghan.
Right, and I don't like even just the flashback. It starts off with them as kids in the '80s, going to this arcade for the first time, where he discovers that he's great at video games.
Yeah.
But it was like the outfits they were wearing when they were riding bikes and went to the arcade was the same through which presumably was a montage of them playing games for a while to them finding a flyer for the world championship of the game, and then they went to the world championship of the game still wearing those same clothes.
This is all the opening 6 minutes.
It all
Yeah.
took place in one day. I thought that was established. He got that good in one day.
No, that was not.
Yeah, that's what the movie made it feel like, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's what was supposed to happen.
No, and the other thing too is, and this is another thing that makes me think it was written for. Who is Tim Herlihy? He was credited as the screenwriter.
Yeah.
Of the movie.
I don't know. When I first looked it up when it first came out, I saw Chris Columbus was directing it, and a guy that also wrote Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore.
Right.
But then he also wrote like Grown Ups 2 and like That's My
Sure.
Worst.
So he's
I
just
don't know.
Sandler's man.
Right.
He's just, like.
Can you write grown-ups too?
Well, yeah. Well, I feel like
We're too excited to talk about this movie,
No.
and we kind of need to establish some sort of structure.
I
No.
think there was.
If you feel that way, this is your podcast, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
I mean, I don't know how to say this because what I was going to say was I feel like there was a good movie somewhere in here,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it was the script's fault or like they changed things on set, like you know what I mean, like which is what I always assume that happens with Sandler movies. But I just feel like the premise was okay. I'm sure the 5-minute pitch of this movie was like, yeah, if you get the right guys to do it, the people that understand either just story structure or video games or both, any of that stuff, it could have been interesting.
Well, I think you have to find that. I believe that to be true. I think you have to find the right kind of mix of elements for it to work. You need to find a different tone, because this movie didn't decide what its tone was. It had all the makings of a kids movie and all the dialogue of a kids movie, because people were saying exactly what they were supposed to be expressing the whole time.
The whole time.
All the time. Like, when they're finally realizing that they can defeat these monsters with the light ray guns that they have.
Yeah.
Like one of them actually said, "Life has never been better."
Right.
So like, I'm sure they could have
And it just
emoted that in some other way, but they just had everybody saying everything.
For my brain,
it
was
perfect.
still very complex. It was hard to get the nuances of the characters.
Okay.
Right.
So when he said nothing, this is the best life has ever
Like,
been,
I was
that
just
helped
like-
you.
That helped me a lot. I was
Okay.
just like, oh, he's enjoying himself.
Because before you couldn't tell, is he angry? Is he hungry?
Yeah, I
is he
mean-
sad?
I couldn't, get a feel for the characters.
Were you sitting behind us the whole time?
Were you that guy?
It was hilarious.
We should just talk about that guy right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, so as soon as the movie started, I knew.
No, as soon as the trailer started.
Well, sure, but
Yeah.
I thought maybe I don't know what was happening in there, but as soon as we got to the movie,
Yeah.
and that guy was laughing at everything, and I'm talking full on,
Yeah.
over
the top.
He was
During the
that
movie,
had
it got to the
have
point where he tried to keep one-upping himself.
Yeah.
To he was stomping his feet on the ground some of the time. He was just knee slapping.
Yeah. And so I said as we were coming out of the theater, I feel like I'm glad I finally saw one of these later Adam Sandler movies in the theater, because it made me understand that there's still an audience for them. Or that guy must have been paid to be there.
Right. Which was everyone's suspicion.
Yeah. Even children.
That was the thing. I mean, I don't know. I didn't actually look at him, but just based on his voice and everything, he was an adult man. Like,
Yeah.
he was not a kid. He was not a teenager.
No. And it was way over the top.
It was way over the top. Like,
Can we
not
confirm-
believable as
can
a
we
laugh.
Wait, since no one saw him, can we confirm this wasn't Adam Sandler?
it didn't sound like him because he would have done a voice or something.
Kevin James or
Yeah.
somebody that was actually in the movie that like they
Guys,
just
why is Kevin James the president of the United States?
That was never because everybody hated him as the president.
Everyone
too.
hated him as the president. He had no qualifications. Even
No.
like as a kid, it's not like they found some way to like make the character make sense that this
Right.
guy's gonna grow up. It's not even like he was like trying to be Adam Sandler's like manager as a kid or anything
No.
like that. Like he had
He
no
just
skills.
wasn't as good at video games. That was his whole.
He just got a Chewie mask once. They called him Chewie, and that was basically his entire character trait.
Yep. And then as soon as they started defeating the aliens or proving that they could compete with the aliens.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we should sort of say what the movie is
Yeah.
about.
Sure.
yeah,
So,
like when I argued for structure, you guys
I
shot
know.
me down.
but like, you know, at the beginning, they're kids, they play video games, they go to the World Championship. For some reason, NASA's there recording all of these kids play video games so they can put it in a time capsule that they put in space, right?
That sounds like an 80s thing to do.
It sounded like an 80s thing, but like they were saying it so like, hey, this is the premise, this is gonna... Every time they were saying something that was gonna pay off later,
And that
they were
was
like,
Dan
hey...
Aykroyd.
I know. I feel bad for him. I felt
Yeah,
so bad
I
for him.
felt so bad for
He was
so many
well,
of the
yeah.
actors so much of the time.
He was the first actor in a long list of people that I felt bad for by the end of the movie.
Yeah. So they say that they're going to
So yeah, they're going to send it to space, and now it's 33 years later, and aliens come back and attack us
because they took it as a
declaration of war. Even though that never made sense, and they didn't explain that, and they also didn't explain why they used the technology against us and played the games into our
yeah, because obviously
why were they using those rules?
If we sent those games up there, we probably would be pretty proficient
Right.
at them.
And why would they then choose to be like the bad guys in those, and we would be the good guys? Like, it just didn't make sense.
Well, that's not entirely true either, because the ghosts weren't the good guys.
That's true.
Yeah,
But I think that was
on
just the way
Pac-Man.
they were like planning it out.
Yeah. Well, I guess because they were coming from above, they'd have to be the centipedes, or
Well, a
galaxy-
lot of
Here's-
games are
I
like
think,
that. It should have been.
I think the problem you guys are having is you are thinking.
Yeah, you're trying to put logic into it.
Yeah. Why did Qbert jump around and say
Okay.
meat mop?
You know that at some point they're like, okay, guys, we got this movie. Okay, first thing we did is we bought all this great music for the soundtrack. Okay, we've spent millions of dollars now on all these classic rock songs, all these hard to find songs, and we finally locked down our first video game character. It's Qbert. We spent a couple $1 million on it.
now we
And
need
they're like,
to Jar
wait,
Jar
why?
Binksify
Wait,
him.
why did you spend so much money on Qbert? Why shouldn't we go get some other... No, it's like, we got Qbert, guys. And so they just had to shoehorn him into everything. And like, he's the one character out of all the video game characters they could have used from that's known for not talking.
Yeah.
He only talks in like, symbols and hash marks and all that stuff. So why did they use him as the only alien in the entire movie that talked? Why? I don't understand.
I think just based on it's the only cutesy character.
I enjoy watching Chris's brain explode.
Does anybody
in
else's
real
jaw
time.
hurt from just clenching it the entire movie?
It was kind of a painful experience, but I think it's because we didn't fall in either of the demographics. We're too too young for the old men
Just barely though.
references,
Yeah.
and we are too old for the kid humor that the rest of the movie was. And it worked on the kids behind us. This movie
For the
worked-
first act.
No. Like for the whole time,
Okay.
the kids behind us loved it, and the kids in front of us loved it.
Yeah.
And so like it works as a
well,
kid's
see,
movie.
I noticed, just kids in general, they'll laugh at a joke because of the cadence and the way somebody says something.
Yeah.
Because they were laughing at a lot of references that I know they have no idea who they were referencing.
Sure.
And then sort of towards the middle at the end, they stop laughing at the like one-off references.
But they love it when grown-ups yell at each other. Though.
Yeah.
That's their
true.
favorite thing.
It's funny.
So Josh Gad was killing it.
I will say I do not like
when
Josh
my dad
Gad.
used to yell at my mom, I think that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I have a lot of memories as a kid playing video games. And
Just to get past the yelling.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Josh Gad, I thought at the
Killed it.
when he first showed up, I was like, okay, I don't really like him at all. But I'm like, at least he's trying. Like, I felt like he was. I don't know.
He was the one
When
that
he
was
first
allowed to
showed-
like really ad-lib.
No,
I feel like
that's what I'm
everybody
saying.
else was on script.
Yeah, you could tell when he was doing his one-liners or doing his long takes,
Well,
and they would always keep it in there.
He had the one line that legitimately made me laugh in the movie.
Like, you smell so good.
Like
Or
the Book of Genesis.
Like the Book of Genesis,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know
that was
why,
funny.
but
I thought,
that
yeah,
made me
I
laugh.
laughed at that too.
It's weird. I didn't laugh at all.
But like at that point, even though it was 15, 20 minutes in the movie, he was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Then he got super annoying just like
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else. And oh my god, guys, do you feel like between the soundtrack and
You
all
guys
the money...
should see Chris grabbing at his face. He's legitimately grabbing at his face.
He's like trying to claw his eyes out.
there's so
you
many-
can't unsee.
There's so many things that I want to talk about. Two things, for some reason, bothered me the most. One of which was, I think that between the soundtrack and between getting Q*bert and spending all this money, they're like, okay, guys, like we spent all this money. We wanted to have like a fourth fight with the aliens, but we can't afford that now. We've already finished the finale fight, but it's like we got something in between. We're at the 90-minute mark, guys. We have all this steam going up from these action sequences right before the finale. What should we do? And it's like, I don't know, like we want to make
Have a
sure.
dance?
Yeah, we want to. Okay, we got to make sure that like Q*bert wears a tuxedo at some point in this movie, right?
Yeah.
Like Josh Gad has it in his contract that he's got to sing for at least 2 solid minutes.
Well,
he's
try
coming off.
hopping the stage.
He's coming off of Broadway. He was, in Book of Mormon.
Oh, sure.
And so he wanted to sing. Like he was like, I gotta. People have to know that I can sing.
Yeah.
Except that
Serena
wasn't his
Williams
voice,
was just
so,
walking around at that point.
Uh-huh.
They're like, let's grab her too. And so there was a ball in the middle of this movie.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Okay.
between the second and third act, there
Let's
is a ball. A black tie event
Let's address
that all the heroes in this movie go to.
Let's address the fact
In the
that
middle of a
logic,
war.
Yes, the logic of this movie is such that as soon as we figure out that there is a war that we need to be competing with, the president goes to a cake making class with his wife.
Right, which they have a lot of cameras there because we get great coverage on
Well,
that.
but it's just like, and there's no explanation for it other than the fact that comedy cadence, we need a laugh here. So let's have
Right.
them making a funny cake together.
The explanation was back when Adam Sandler said you got to turn off your phone and your
30
internet
minutes,
and spend
yeah.
30 minutes a day with your wife.
Even
Yeah,
though
but
we
that's-
just found out aliens are trying to kill
Right,
us.
and
Spend 30 minutes. What are the
Okay,
aliens
okay,
going to do?
okay, fine.
But also,
time out.
that didn't
Get
even pay
bars.
off because he's like, oh, you're married to a wife that doesn't like you and all this other stuff. And the whole time she was very nice and liked
She
him very
loved it,
much.
yeah, and she-
Because he did the cake decorating class.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
true.
I feel like I
That's
should
all
have
it
just
took.
spelled this out for you guys.
Oh no!
Right.
And then she stayed next to him through the entire rest of the war.
Yeah, they're
Keep the wife at
constantly
your
having
side.
people there just because, okay, these are the stars of the movie. We're in a secret underground military facility. Let's have the one guy's or the one girl's son be there for no reason.
Yeah,
It's
she's
like,
like,
I couldn't find a sitter.
I couldn't find
That's
a sitter.
not an
For the
explanation.
whole rest of the movie, he's next to the war.
Right.
Because she couldn't find a
And
sitter.
it only sort of pays off because then later on he gets kidnapped and they have to save him. But he didn't need to be like, he was in the underground facility and stuff. It's not like he was even making one-line jokes or anything.
No.
It's not like there was any interaction.
No. I felt like, again,
Incorrect. Again, his interaction was playing a new video game for Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that
to
was
critique.
later. That's another thing that bothered me is they boiled down video games, both old and new, into just one thing. Old video games were about patterns. New video
Yes.
games are about pretending that, like, you want to be the guy and you don't want to die.
I feel
Yes,
like this is
correct and
I
correct.
feel like this is the interesting. No. I feel like this is the place where This Isn't Funny Anymore podcast can actually talk about what Pixels had to say about video games.
I doubt it.
And
I feel like it was written by somebody that played video games in the 80s, casually.
yeah,
Hasn't liked video games, haven't really been into video games since then.
So it was written by Phil.
Yeah, it was
Sounds
written by
like
Phil.
Phil.
But like, so you play video games in the 80s, you haven't really played them since then. You always kind of look down on them and like the people that play them.
You know
and
what,
now,
though, for real, though? Like, listening to the podcast, it does kind of sound like you. You're
This
like,
is your voice.
You're like, you know what? This new game I downloaded for my PC, it's a side-scroller, 2D. It's
Yeah.
the best I've ever played.
Yeah.
But it's not. It doesn't even seem like, other than like, I think
If
like
I wrote the movie, though, it would be more 90s and less 80s.
You know what, though? It does make sense that this is about 80s video games because the whole thing was really two-dimensional.
oh.
Drop the mic, pick it up, and then drop
Yeah.
it.
No.
It'll sound great.
I think that's a perfect time to. This is my no word review of the movie.
Hopefully, you're gonna like put in some music in this episode too, because you used to put music into the podcast, then you stopped.
Okay,
Only if Phil.
I will tell you why.
references it.
Phil had to reference it and not be like coaxed into it. And also, once I started putting things on YouTube, I was afraid that they were gonna get.
They're gonna pull you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fair game. They've kind of stopped being as litigious and just started putting ads for the people on your videos.
Okay.
Anyway, that's neither
Yeah.
here nor there. I wanted to circle back, and we got to talk more about the
keep us
kid
on
being
track.
there.
Keep us on track.
No. It's not about keeping you on track, but the kid served a couple purposes. One, needed Qbert to hang out with somebody so that he could pee on the floor and everything.
About his height.
Yep, about his height, right? And then the kid also, because it's such obviously a kid's logic, kid's joke movie, you needed a kid around for
To
the
relate
kids to be
to, like, whatever.
just because they kept cutting to him during the middle of like
Right.
long grown-up scenes.
But I feel like
him
that's just the editor
observing
being
the
like, I got
adults.
nothing, guys.
No,
I gotta cut to
it's-
this kid.
It is
'cause-
literally Christopher Columbus being like, hey, look, see that kid? He's paying attention
He's
to the
like,
grown-ups.
here.
We all can pay attention
Yeah.
to the grown-ups
No,
right
you're
now.
right. But I feel like they should have taken that farther. That was an element that they could have used to their advantage to bridge like the new and the old. To be like, hey, you're kid, your games are different, all that stuff. Rather than being like a 20-second shot of him playing a new game and them just making fun of his new game.
Sure.
They could have found a way to use those two things together and like, I don't know.
Well, I think they were talking about the complexity of new games compared to old games, which is
his
obvious.
his
but-
version was they're not complex. Like they're just mayhem, and it's like you're just doing whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you do.
No, but I feel like, that's like, in looking at that from an outsider too, I feel like
Yeah.
everyone would be like, oh, your old man brain can't comprehend the
Yeah.
complexity of new games.
But I feel like the kid then maybe should have made a joke rather than Adam Sandler then like ripping apart the kid's game. I felt like it was from the wrong perspective. I felt like when he does that, you're supposed to be on Adam Sandler's side.
Sure.
But if
then-
you're trying to like make us feel like there's some sort of connection between you two, or you could learn something, like you're basically making fun of this kid because he's a nerd and plays video games when that's your entire persona.
Right, and it is a good thing that the secret military base did have an Xbox.
I
Right.
imagine
for the
he
kid to
brought
play.
that from home.
Oh,
Yeah.
he did?
Also, it has a trampoline. I don't know if you noticed that for no reason. It's got a trampoline.
They're
Also,
used to getting kids in there.
Also-
Oh, yeah, because she could never find a sitter. They had to get
they're
some stuff
just
for
like,
the kid
fine,
to
we'll
do.
buy a
Yeah.
fucking trampoline to put in our secret military base.
yeah, there's one token woman in this, and she has so many roles in it throughout. Whenever
Yeah.
they need somebody else to do
Yep,
something,
she's mother, she's romantic interest.
she's a scientist.
Yeah.
She also, they're flying all over the globe in like a moment's notice in this movie.
She is the expert buckler of seatbelts.
Yeah, that's the other out of the two things. That was the other thing that just really, really bothered me. It's like it didn't need to be in it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, let's just have a scene where like, you shut the door, the window's open, you guys have the conversation there. It's like, no. She's gonna put his seatbelt on for him, so you see that
We're
she
talking about
cares
Adam Sandler, not her
Yeah.
son.
No, yeah. For some reason, she like Michelle Monaghan's character. I don't even know her name.
First of all, that's a good question.
It's like Von something. It was on
Von
her.
Patton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Von
Yeah,
Patton
yeah,
was her
yeah.
last name, but what's her
Oh,
first name?
Lieutenant was her first
Yeah,
name.
Lieutenant. Yeah.
Lieutenant Von Patton, because she was a lieutenant in the science
And
military.
all of her uniforms were for different branches of the military, depending on where they were. She was just everything.
Sure.
Chameleon.
But sorry.
I gotta say though, like, just for the record, Michelle Monaghan is a fantastic actress. No one could have done any better with this awful, awful movie.
I
She's
feel like
also very attractive.
yeah.
She's
I feel
gorgeous.
like the only character.
I've seen her boobs in a movie.
Kiss, Kiss, Bang, Bang was that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she was great in that movie.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And my buddy always said like he wanted her to play Catwoman. He thought she would have been a really good Catwoman.
Unless we're talking about the Halle Berry Catwoman movie, because no one could have saved that movie either.
No. Anyways.
Boobs.
Thanks for showing up, Bill. I don't even know what I was going to say, other than the fact that, like, so not only are the United States, but the entire world is being attacked right now by these aliens,
Yep.
and it appears they only have like 12 military guys. And like these 3 guys that are good at video games are the only people that are trying to combat them at all.
Yeah,
like
no
the one
in the military
scientist
ever had
right.
hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, the one scientist who's
Video
able
games
to
are
create
American.
ridiculous things, like, in a couple hours, all the time.
Yeah.
And then also, like, there's just so much to talk about. I don't know what to say. Other than the fact that, hey, I didn't like that it was Adam Sandler was the one that was doing the actual action. Like, he took over, they tried to have the military do it, and like he yelled at them for like 30 seconds, and then he took over and he was
Find
really
the
good.
patterns!
But it's like, okay, well, why don't we find then more people that are good at video games, or how come you're not the one that's looking at the screen that looks like Pac-Man telling the people where to drive, and get expert drivers to do it?
Be Ender in Ender's
Right,
game.
because in Pac-Man, when you're Pac-Man, it's not the same thing as driving a Mini Cooper around a parking garage. Those are two not equal things.
Yeah, you'd have to be telling the ghost where to go.
So what if his best friend wasn't the president? What if his best friend was like in the army and really good at all that stuff, and he could never play video games, and he was really good at video games, and this is the way they connect, is like, okay, you're the body, I'm the mind, and we work together to like beat these aliens or something. I just thought of that right then, and I feel like that would have been a better idea.
I like Pixels better.
At every corner, like they go to England, like you're saying, they're fighting all over the world,
and somehow they're still in charge.
Absolutely. He's sitting at President Kevin James is sitting at the table with Prime Minister, woman from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Harry's.
She's also a fine actress. She's been in many things.
Harry's aunt. Yeah. So anyway,
there's Kevin James.
No.
Oh.
So she's
married to the job, man.
And they write her. She is a respected British actress,
right?
And they wrote her the worst like British slang,
like cringeworthy
in the world.
Yeah,
and that was the whole joke. And like she had to say all this stuff for the Hollywood movie coming in.
I feel like I don't think it was Chris Columbus, but somebody was behind the monitor shouting, "Say this now! Say cranky!" It's like, no, it's not us. I don't care. Just say it.
Yeah. And at every turn, these poor actors were left hung out to dry.
Right. I think the only character that was like unredeemable, and I'm going to put it on him, was Dinklage. I think there's no excuse for him being in the movie and the performance he gave. Everybody else, it was like an uphill battle that they could not win.
Right.
He should not have been there to begin with, and he didn't do anything worth doing in the movie.
No, I feel like the only way to explain that is because Dinklage is a great actor.
Yeah.
The only way to explain it is for him to have read those lines and decided he had to play like half slow in order to like make them make sense.
I don't know.
It was awful.
It was awful.
His accent was terrible.
He was my favorite character.
It's funny because Phil was by far the most visibly upset while we were trying to watch this movie.
Yeah,
now he's
like,
loving the ride though.
From leaning back, he kept like leaning forward, readjusting himself.
Yeah,
like trying to like.
Well, he was quite upset at the people behind us too.
Oh, it's because of the. Absolutely. That's how you can tell.
Yeah.
No, yes, the movie was bad and Dinklage was the worst, but I made peace with it that he had to have lost a bet at some point.
Yeah.
Like maybe he was playing cards with Adam Sandler, and he's like, if you lose this hand, you have to be in my next movie. No. And he's like, oh, fuck yeah, you're not going to beat me with 4 aces.
I think he has a serious gambling problem, and he had to take this movie to get out of this hole. Like, somebody was going to kill him. He needed cash fast. And Sandler's the only guy that's just going to pay you cash up front to be in his movies.
Maybe, but either way, he lost something.
Well, his dignity, but that was a while ago.
Well,
yeah,
he lost my respect when he was in Destiny.
What?
He's the voice of
the robot in Destiny.
Oh, okay.
And he's taken a lot of flack for that too. His performance was really bad.
Oh, really?
All the demos and all the other videos, his character is good and lively, but when they got rid of the head writer and then rewrote the entire script, I guess 2 months before the game came out, they scrambled and had him do another session. Sure. And I guess that was just a disaster.
So he tried to like Harrison Ford Blade Runner it?
Yes. Yeah, he tried to sink the ship.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, did they make a video game of the movie The Station Agent? Because he'd be really good in that.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
No.
Did he voice his character in Telltale's Game of Thrones?
Yes, he did, and he does a good job. I mean, he knows how to play that character. He's not going to mess that up.
Sure. You know what, though? Like, I don't know. I listen to your guys' podcast.
Big mistake.
Well,
first problem.
Sure.
You're the guy?
No, I haven't subscribed though. I download it every week.
Yeah.
Just to most times, but but I was gonna say I listened to quite a few podcasts now. One of them was called Script Notes. Have you listened to Script Notes?
No.
It's about.
I don't have time. I gotta listen to this thing like 3 times. I gotta listen to it and I gotta edit it.
No wonder you sound so frustrated.
Yeah.
You're like, I have to listen to this all over again.
Yeah.
Guys, stop
That's why I got that robot intern. He can just do it all for me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But they started playing the Telltale Game of Thrones.
Oh, they love it?
Love it.
Everyone loves it.
Everyone loves it?
Well, not everyone, but like the reviewers are all over it. And I did play the most recent episode came out this week. It was good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the first 3 were just atrocious.
That's what I've
and
been
the
hearing
second
on a
two,
podcast.
the fourth one was like, yeah, this is okay, but I've already kind of spoiled on it.
So the fifth one was like good?
The fifth one was
Or
like,
good
okay,
considering?
yeah. I wish this was the first episode. The thing is, because finally your choice is met. It's the second to last episode.
Okay.
And so now they finally are like, okay, there's one fork in the road, and you do have to make a real decision. And it's because they only have to then write 2 different versions of the last episode.
Oh, sure.
So it's like, yeah, okay, that finally meant something. But now I'm just getting to the end of this. I don't really care. But anyways, we can talk about that later.
In other news?
Yeah. If we talk about games we're playing, but if we get that far. Are we still talking about Pixels, though?
I mean, I feel like... I mean, what else is there to say, really, about Pixels?
Okay, the action was good. I liked the visual representations of how they took the 2D flat games and made them into the 3D cool pixelated world.
VisFX did a great job. And especially the centipede battle was the coolest looking, I thought.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It kind of bothered me that like the second they got into the fight, then they're like, okay, let's just do a montage then for the rest of this fight. We'll do a quick little montage, and then all of a sudden the scores started popping up, even though they weren't before.
But it still was the coolest, like, looking.
Yeah.
Like, all in all the little centipede balls that appear looked awesome. And
Phil's got a question?
Yeah, in the centipede fight.
Yeah.
When that centipede breaks away,
yeah,
how does Adam Sandler keep up with it on foot? I mean, he's a kind of a pudgy guy.
Also, he said you can't shoot him in the tail, and that's what he does.
Can't shoot him in the tail.
Yeah.
And he's running with a big gun, and somehow he catches up to it.
Yeah.
Sure.
How?
Sure. Okay.
Do we want to talk about how the woman was doing the exercise video from the 80s, and then the centipede stopped to
mimic the exercise video?
Yeah.
That made sense to me. It's just the catching up.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
At that point, though, is like when I was like, I know prior to that, I was like, this was not written for people. Thinking people. This was not written.
Yeah.
This was not written for people who...
I know you guys have probably noticed, but this movie
feel.
has made us dumber. It is very hard to talk right now.
Yeah. But at that point, I was like, okay, this is a straight up kids movie.
Yeah.
Because that is a kid's joke. And then as soon as he dispatched that centipede, spoiler alert, he does dispatch that centipede.
That one. I mean, I'm sure all the other ones probably killed the Marines and stuff by then. Yeah.
When he does, there is a little boy standing in the street being like, Mister,
what day is it, sir?
Yeah.
It's Christmas.
And he's like, I'm just a loser who's good at video games. And the kid is like, thank God for that.
Yeah. We were in
This
London
is the
at this
movie,
point.
you guys.
Yeah.
You don't have to go see it. We just did it for... That was that was Pixel's experience.
I think that was a better line reading than the kid gave, but yeah.
Yeah.
You knew that the movie was bad at that scene.
No.
I knew the movie
No, he knew
it was for kids at that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. When I saw the preview for Hotel Transylvania 2,
Sure.
I said to myself, what did I get myself into right now?
Have you guys seen the Kung Fu Panda movie?
I saw the first one.
Was it good?
It was alright, but the whole idea was like, okay, it's this, fat panda that's doesn't know what he's doing, he's uncoordinated, all this stuff, but somehow he's a Kung Fu master. So by the end of it, he all of a sudden becomes, Yoda, right? He becomes the Kung Fu master. So I don't know how they've sustained that story, since that was the only story, the only journey was him becoming all of a sudden like, clearing his mind and being able to do Kung Fu really well.
Well, I was just like,
So what was the second movie about? I don't know. This third movie, at least, okay, now his dad's there, so that was something, but I don't know how you can build an entire movie around that.
I realized I was completely locked out of these kids movie franchises now because I haven't seen any of the Kung Fu Panda movies. I didn't see the first Hotel Transylvania because it looked awful.
Yeah, we also saw a trailer for that. At least they pointed out that Hubert changed into the woman, and that was weird.
Since you brought it up, can we talk about that woman for a second?
Which woman?
The only female alien, and she was like an actual person.
Oh my God.
The guy that Josh Gad's character was in love with. Which is not a real video game, right? There was a lot of non-video game characters in this movie. There's like 3 licensed video game characters. Everybody else
there was a
like,
bunch. There was a bunch of licensed video game
There's
characters.
Paperboy.
What about those ninjas?
There's Mario.
I thought like the first scene.
Burger Time guy was there.
Yeah, Burger Time and the little pickle walking around. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
But that was all in like the mayhem scene.
Yeah.
At the very beginning when he's riding his bike down the street, I was like, oh, they're gonna do a Paperboy thing. No, they didn't. They had a huge opportunity for like Paperboy.
Well, Paperboy showed up a few times at the end.
I know, but I'm saying why didn't they
They
put
didn't have
those
time.
two things together?
The original director's cut, that was a 9-hour movie. They dove into every fucking game they played.
Yeah. Well, okay, so basically the thing that Phil is bringing up is there's this video game character, something Lisa.
Lucky Linda.
I don't know.
Anyway, she's like a girl with dual swords.
Yeah.
And an awesome red outfit.
The Josh Gad character was in love with her. She was supposedly an arcade game.
Yeah.
That he always liked when he was a little weird kid and would talk to her like.
And so he builds a shrine to her in his mom's garage or grandma's garage, whatever. And then, as soon as the aliens are invading, Lucky Lisa
shows up.
Something Lisa. Anyway, she shows up. She gets every character in this is pixelated,
right?
Which is part of the cool aesthetic.
Right.
Of it.
It's 2D. It's old school.
But she resolves into like human form all of a sudden from her
she
pixelation.
Just looks cosplayer.
Yeah. And is about to kill him. This is like full spoiler time, right?
I mean, is it though?
No, I guess. Okay, so she's about to kill him, and he gives his speech of love. Oh,
yeah, Josh
God.
Gad then says, "Oh, like you can kill me if you want, but I love you. I can't fight you," sort of thing.
Yeah, like just know that I will die a man who has experienced love. Yeah. And then she like drops her swords. And I roll my eyes, and Phil shifts in his seat.
Yeah.
And Chris
punches a kid in the back of the head.
and then they start making out, and it's just awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the real video game character, so why would she act like a female woman at all?
At all.
Yeah.
She is
not even
she is alien pixels.
I'll get past the fact that she looks like a human woman because maybe they could use that as a tactic, even though that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, like they get it's like
I'm just
you
saying,
give more pixels.
I know. I'm just saying, like she would not have emotions like that. Yeah. She would not want to be with.
She went from 8-bit to 64-bit.
She still didn't talk for some reason.
No.
And then
because she's not Q*bert.
Right.
Maybe she can talk later.
Only what they taught Q*bert.
I don't even want to talk about what happens later.
All I'm wondering is like Q*bert turned into her.
Yeah.
Does he still have like his Q*bert nose hanging somewhere? You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. I think he just changed the projection of himself because I guess his genetics are still Q*bert because they had kids and they were all Q*berts.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You guys, this movie.
Yeah. So guys, later on at the end when they defeat all the aliens, she goes away.
Yeah, because an alien. All of the aliens dissolve into the air.
Right.
As soon as
pixelate.
Yeah, they pixelate and dissolve.
Yeah.
Because they were defeated by the humans.
But Q*bert's still around because Q*bert, anytime one side wins, the other side gets a trophy.
Did they get a trophy for Centipede?
Yeah, you went to the bathroom for that. It was the dog from Duck Hunt.
Oh, okay.
But then you never saw him again.
No.
I would have had him in it rather than Q*bert.
Sure. He probably been talking now.
Well, yeah.
Smoking
he
cigars.
Just laughed all the time.
Yeah.
But I guess they get to keep the trophies at the end of it, even though they didn't keep their trophies. But I guess because they lost.
The only thing I wanted to bring up was the fact like they introduce the actual girl at the last like 10 minutes of the movie, and it's so shoehorned in where it's just like everyone has to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
Everyone has to have a happy ending. Even the guy who cheats and screws them over gets Serena Williams.
Yeah, that's true.
For some reason, it's like everyone has to have a happy ending. So they're just like, what does Josh Gad want? He wants a fake girl.
Yeah.
So Q*bert turns into her. Movie over. They dusted their hands. They high-fived David Spade while he was going to Joe Dirt 2. They said, done. We finished.
That was super awkward. The idea, but at least they called attention to that one little bit.
Right. Well, we didn't even say it. Yeah. So Q*bert turns into that girl, and they get married. They have kids, and then later on, there's like a scene afterwards. This is like 1 year later, and then they have kids, and they're all little Q*berts to make it even more disturbing.
Yeah. Although Sandler did,
at least
in one of his self-aware moments, as soon as Gad started making out with her after Q*bert turned into her, he was like, is no one else disturbed that was just Q*bert 2 seconds ago?
Yeah.
And I was actually disturbed by that.
I was too.
I did not feel comfortable with that.
I didn't feel comfortable with her being in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, just have Josh Gad not be
It was the only thing that was shoehorned into that movie, though. Everything else slid perfectly.
Perfect plot.
Slid right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's one word I would use to describe this movie, it's forced. They just tried to constantly force everything.
Everything was forced. Nothing was organic.
No.
None of the jokes were organic. The dialogue was so
top
awful.
notch.
Right, and even if they did something,
I was trying to finish your sentence.
top
Top
sort
notch
of
full.
it's one of those things where, like, even if they did something so ridiculous that the people couldn't help but comment on it, like, the comments were then still, like, trying to be like, okay, we know we shouldn't do this, so we're just going to have one line of dialogue that explains it, like, oh, I couldn't find a sitter.
Yeah.
Well, that does not explain it. I know you tried to explain it, but you're just trying to force something that's bad.
And does Kevin James have a thing in his kind? Like, Gad had to sing. Does Kevin James have a thing where he has to dance?
No, that's what I forgot to say too. Yeah, that's another reason they had the ballroom scene, is so he could walk in a group of people and just dance for no reason and feel like really cool.
And
about
as soon as people started respecting the president, he did the dumbest dancing to hopefully lose the respect of
I think in Kevin James's contract is you have to find a fat kid to play me in a past scene.
Yeah.
So I think, like, granted, I don't watch a lot of Kevin James movies myself, but I know in, like, Grown Ups, when they do, like, the flashbacks, they're just like, find a fat kid. Make sure that he's fat. That'll be me. Yeah. That'll be Kevin James.
Sure. Yeah. Pixels.
Good.
Nixels. don't do it.
Too bad Nixon wasn't in this movie. Yeah, I feel like if you cut out everything but the action sequences and even cut out the stupid dialogue or moments in between the action sequences, you probably have like a 5 or 10 minute movie that's worth like watching on like YouTube or something.
Short film, absolutely.
Right.
It's like one of those. Yeah. So as soon as the action sequences are on YouTube, check out Pixels.
Right.
Just Centipede fight, Pac-Man fight. Phil shaking his head.
No,
not even worth it.
I mean, the best part to me is again Peter Dinklage and just the comedy he brought.
The best part.
So so Peter Dinklage's character, he's a bad guy, but still gets redeemed, as in like he gets a happy ending.
Redeemed.
But also, I don't like. You guys remember all those cheat codes there used to be on arcade games?
Maybe.
And also, you can't remember them. You're playing one game, you can't remember what the cheat code is. Also, how did he do cheat codes in real life, guys?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And the
aliens are the ones that programmed it, so how does he know the cheat codes?
And so how does the cheat code activate the car to move faster?
That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't, like, that is absurd.
Also, wouldn't it have been more fun...
everything.
I know it's an action movie, so it has to have a car chase, but wouldn't it have been more fun if they were the Pac-Man and they had to run around and grab things and their ghosts were chasing them? Couldn't that have been a more fun thing than just like them driving cars around trying to get Pac-Man?
Everyone wants a big giant
they had
Pac-Man.
The American Gladiator ball.
I know, but they should have just made him Pac-Man, is what I'm saying. Like, that Budweiser commercial, I think, was more interesting. They did a better job of replicating Pac-Man than this movie did.
That was a fun commercial.
Yeah.
I liked that a lot. That was a better...
And Bud Light had a cameo in this movie.
Pixels and a better story. I really believe the love interest in that. Him and a beer.
Yeah. Wait, it was a Budweiser commercial.
It was.
Tying it in. Not a sponsor.
No, not for this.
Not yet.
No, but also when they drink the beer at the ball...
Still, it's always
the beer they drink at the ball is Bud Light, and they are clearly showing the label for a long time. And she chugs it for no reason.
You-ah!
Yeah.
She should have done the Budweiser, like, frogs thing. I think that would have...
Yeah, the kids would have gotten that reference.
Yeah.
Just as much as the Hall & Oates. Thank God that stupid, stereotypical general, like, I want to blow everything up, I don't know anything about anything, kept talking to himself, so I'm glad they referenced it at one point when his wife's like, what are you talking about? And that he was like, oh, that was Hall & Oates. Because Jake and I were like, who was that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure all the kids loved the tattoo references from Fantasy Island. They were all about that. That scene went on so long.
All of these scenes went on so as soon as the action. That's why I missed the duck hunt dog.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the action stopped, I was like, they're about to start talking again. I want to experience that as little as possible. I'm gonna make a run.
Yeah.
Out I went. Missed the duck hunt dog, but don't regret it. Anytime, and then they were like, "Whoa, we have at least a day before craziness starts happening again.
First of all, how do you
dance?
Yeah, let's have a ball."
And then I was like, "Oh my god!" So this dance is gonna have at least 6 mini scenes within it for all the different characters and quote unquote jokes. So now I gotta sit through nothing but the worst parts of this for probably the longest stretch that we're gonna have.
Right. And that's the thing. It killed the small amount of momentum it had coming off that action scene. And it was just like some of the worst scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
We got another...
yeah.
Adam Sandler is counting to 10. And it's a very slow count he does. That bothered me.
That's the Pac-Man count, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, like...
He's the king of counting video games.
He's like, it's 10 seconds. But yet he's
one.
In 1 second he's able to drive up like 3 floors.
But also,
parking garage.
That implies that he timed all this stuff out. He knows how, like, the entire layout of the streets he's in.
Yeah.
He knows, how fast to drive.
Yeah.
How fast, Pac-Man can move.
And where that parking garage is in relation to another parking garage.
Right, like a half a second off in his timing, and he would have died. Like, actually died in real life. So
wouldn't have been a total loss then.
No, that might have been a better movie.
Yeah.
So let's sum up Pixels in one word. Chris.
I already did. It was a little Pac-Man dying sound.
Oh, it's
and
not
forced.
a word.
I
forced. Jake. 1 word.
Boring.
Phil. Great.
Phil's so happy with himself.
That's why you go last.
I think Phil
word.
has been so angry and upset that he's like gone delusional about it.
No,
He's got Stockholm syndrome. Right, exactly.
It's a circle.
He loved it. He hated it so much. Now he loves it.
Well, I for one am glad we saw Pixels so that we could talk about Pixels, so that I could beat Caitlin's record, and so that we could get to news.
I'm so glad we saw Pixels.
I don't think we can talk about news while Jake's here because
news.
Jake loves news so much that you want to be at home and listen to it as an entertainment experience. You don't want to be part of it.
We can talk about what's happening in lives.
Yeah, let's talk about our personal news, as we call it.
Oh yeah. Well.
Oh no, was someone diagnosed with something?
No,
I've been diagnosed with pixelitis.
That's what I was gonna say.
I have to see the movie every night.
Yeah,
for the rest of my life.
It's kind of like Pac-Man fever.
Sure.
Me, Chris.
No, you're Phil.
Oh, my bad.
Me and Chris?
Me and Chris.
Okay. Me, Chris, you, Phil.
It's just so hard.
I know.
Pixels is ravaged.
Were you guys eliminated?
No. Okay, we'll talk about the achievement contest real quick.
Okay.
I was
so nervous.
I was at a wedding this weekend.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't there, so I don't know why I'm agreeing.
Luckily, they couldn't find a sitter, so there was an Xbox.
Yeah. But I had a decent amount of games that I had played during the week. But I only played like once or twice. But I got enough. I was like, okay, whatever.
Sure.
The wedding was a weird thing where like the ceremony was in the morning and then the reception was until the afternoon.
Yeah.
So we had some time in between. So I was able to watch it on my phone, but I wasn't gonna do anything about it. I couldn't like go home and play video games or anything.
Yeah.
And hit 7 o'clock on the clock. And I was like, oh God, oh no, I'm still in it. I was hoping. I got pretty close.
You guys keep talking like that, and I do not approve. I do not approve.
Okay.
I want you guys just apply yourselves. Okay?
We've been doing this for over 6 months now.
I've been working on something for 6 years. Okay?
Yeah, but this was supposed to be like, hey, a fun thing, so we play video games.
So is mine, Chris.
Look.
The truth comes out.
Yeah.
Just look. I just want you guys to win, okay? Just win the whole thing.
No, here's the thing.
Well, that's not a possibility.
Here's the real life possibility is that we bust our. Can I say in this?
No.
No.
Okay.
Behooves.
We bust our behooves, and at best we could come in 15th.
Oh man, that sounds like great.
That would be amazing. We would really have to try.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's like taking vacation times for me, like during the week to play. That's like only weekend playing, like new games. That's to get 15th. You know what your prize is for 15th? Nothing. Yeah. The only prize is coming in first, and you get a sweatshirt.
And
no, you get bragging rights and the pride when you look in the mirror.
Do we think that Stallion's gonna win?
I don't think he didn't win last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think...
Is it like SMRV or whatever?
No, he didn't join it.
Yeah.
Is he like Firewalker or whatever his name is?
So there's a guy, for those who don't care, and rightfully so, they shouldn't, like, find a hobby. There's a guy that's like the #1 Guinness Book of World Records holder for like most achievements
out of everyone in the world.
And he's on the website that we use, and he has a team.
Yeah.
And his team is consistently, like well above the cutoff.
Like he's sponsored. He has thousands and thousands of games. All he does day and night is play.
Yeah, like he gets paid to just play video games.
Yeah,
that sounds like a good gig.
Yeah,
right?
It's a good gig.
And he maps everything out where it's like he just plays for achievements. So it's like, okay, I can play this game. I can get all the achievements in 4 hours or something. These are exactly the way I can like maximize my time.
Yeah.
And like,
but like, so there's no way that me and Chris could apply ourselves enough to even challenge for a victory.
I feel like even if like you quit your job and everything, and we just sat down in the basement and played video games for 24/7, we still wouldn't be able to beat them.
No, I think we could.
Okay.
But that's taking it to the end.
We couldn't like buy all the games that we would need. I guess you already have a huge backlog, but like
we just trade games. That'd be the key.
Yeah, you're right.
Just
We both get the achievements at the same time.
Yeah, just be like, okay, I'll play Bayonetta and you play whatever Kart
Bayonetta
Racer,
2.
and then when you get all Kart Racer, I'll switch and vice versa. But that's not the point. The point is that it's...
See, you've got a strategy and everything.
Okay, the point was, the reason that we joined was because we wanted to make it more fun.
Right.
And it's made it less fun.
Sure, of course. Because again, you guys start, like, categorizing...
Because we're Adam Sandlering it
so that this isn't fun anymore.
We're finding patterns. Exactly. We're dissecting games.
Right.
We're not just playing them. So we're not like kids in the 80s. The games are too non-random and violent right now.
Anytime you sign up for anything, you're going to start... Your achievement hunter minds are going to structure it to working towards this goal. That's why, as long as it's goal-oriented, it's never going to be fun.
That's why I don't sign up for a Regal card.
I got a free small popcorn tonight.
And a free movie.
And that's free. And a free movie.
Yeah.
So Pixels basically was on the house.
Right.
You know what? That's about the right price.
Yeah. Exactly. I stole a bunch of stuff on the way out, so it was on the house for me too. But I wish that it was just structured differently. I wish it wasn't weekly and then everything resets. Because of that, then I was like, okay, I don't play the games I want to play. Yeah. Or I wait, okay, I can't play a game now until
so if it was
resets.
Just always...
So if it was like, hey, whoever has the most achievements in the next 12 months or something, then I could play as much or as little as I wanted. So here's your achievement
score at the start.
Right.
At the end, you should have the most in this time period.
Right. Yeah. And so even if they did it like every month or something, just so I could feel like, okay, I don't have to play like every week and I don't have to play just once.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it's limiting.
Right.
So
you don't want to get too many achievements in 1 week.
Because then it's just a waste. Yeah. As long as you're not, all you have to be is one person above the cutoff. Right. Otherwise, you feel like you're wasting points.
So in that case, I would be like, why don't you guys just play what you want to play in a week? Especially,
that's what we've been doing.
Especially, have you?
At least I have.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then never mind. That's fine.
Yeah, like the first week that I decided to do that.
As long as you're no longer holding yourselves back from like playing games you want to play.
I haven't.
I don't play fun games. So
yeah, he doesn't even know. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like video games?
Yeah, it's tough to say.
Oh.
No! I do like video games. I have this weird thing in my brain. It's probably a tumor.
It's the brain part of the brain, I guess.
We can't be, we've gone to a bunch of doctors. But, and I'll give you an analogy for what I'm about to describe. When it's Halloween and you got a whole bag of candy.
I thought it was going to be Pixels analogy.
No, if I could figure out a quick Pixels analogy, I would have used it.
Also, why was Cubert fighting in the Donkey Kong thing? He was not part of that. He should not have been.
He was showing them how to get on the mothership, so he's like their best friend now.
I know, but why was he going up the Donkey Kong steps? Oh. Why did they have to come back to save him? Also, he got hit with a barrel and didn't get affected, so why did they have to risk their own lives?
He's only got so many lives, and he died twice already. Cubert only has 3 lives.
That's not true.
He got hit with the barrel. No, he got hit with the barrel. Yeah. That was a death. And then he jumped off the trampoline and exploded into 1,000,000 pieces. And that was a death. That was 2 out of 3 deaths. That's why he was avoiding the fire, because that would have been his 3rd death, and Cubert would have been gone forever.
Did you write this movie?
Yeah.
I might have had a part in it. Anyway, back to my great Halloween candy analogy.
Yeah.
When you come back, you've just been trick-or-treating, I would organize my candy in a weird way. I'd organize it the worst candy to the best candy.
You would?
And you would get sick on the worst candy.
And
Did you do this?
No. I do plan out, like, hey, what do I want my last bite to be? I'll do that. Like, I want to finish strong.
No, mine would be like, hey, you know what's the best candy? Reese's. I'm going to save these because I really want to enjoy these. Yeah. You know what's worse candy? These copper pennies. Or whatever fucking,
That was not a candy. You should not have been eating those.
But, like, whatever.
I think we're finding why your brain's messed up.
These are loose pieces of caramel with razor blades in it. Like, whatever. Like, the worst candy, just like, I'm going to eat those. And what would always happen is I'd eat all the worst candy, and then by the time I got to the good candy,
that
candy's fucking gone. Like, it's expired, it's been tossed out, or just don't want candy anymore. And that is, I can't turn that part of my brain off. So I look at my stupid video game wall, and I still go like, man, it's going to be so great to get to these good games.
Oh, Phil.
But first I have to play through the mud and the awful Turoks and U-Star MTV. You're in the movies. I don't have that game, but it's a bad game, I assume.
But the problem is there's another layer to it. It's like when you were trick-or-treating, you went to the houses and they had the Reese's, but you still grabbed the copper pennies instead and brought that to your house to have a collection of copper pennies to then only play the copper penny games.
Here's the thing. That is mind-boggling. Because I don't play enough video games.
Yeah.
And so the only games I play are the ones...
Good ones.
That people have said, this is the best game.
Yeah.
And I play it way later than everybody else. Mm-hmm. So, like, there's a little bit of shame involved in that. But at least you know you're playing a game of serious quality.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sorry. My brain just doesn't work like that. Like, I've looked at my shelf and I've been like, I have time to kill. I have 2 hours, whatever it's going to be. And I'll be like, man, I really want to start this game. And I'll be like, I got to finish Turok first.
The problem is don't start Turok.
Well, I know, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Next game you should play is BioShock. Just play it.
I'll try. I will try.
Just play it.
Let's say after our game of the month this month, BioShock will be our next game. How about that?
We can't cheat like that, Chris. We have to uphold to our fans.
Fine, then
See, this is the thing. You uphold to these rules that you make
made
only to yourself.
Okay, I'm doing a new segment on the show now. We have to. It's a challenge. We're gonna duel each other. We have to force the other person to play a game. You've already made me start Turok, so I'm gonna make you play BioShock. You're still the winner in this scenario.
I don't know. Feels like a loss in my book. I understand I have a problem.
Yeah, I know. We're trying to help you, Phil.
It's just like I'm gonna love BioShock when I play it. I know
because you'll be dead.
But I gotta beat Turok and Generator Rex, and I gotta beat all the
Suburban
games.
Madness or whatever.
I gotta beat Duke Nukem 3D. It barely even started that game. I hear that's top notch winner.
Right, I bought that too because you bought it.
Yeah, that was a mistake. It's not even multiplayer achievements.
Yeah, there's not.
Nope.
No, but there's supposedly easy single player ones. They're just bad.
It's just how I do things. Anyway. What I was getting at a long time ago is that we have started a rock band night.
A rock band. Rock band.
Yeah, rock band as in the actual game that was released for video game systems.
2008, I believe, is the first game. So we're
sure.
going to go, we're going to go in order.
Yep.
We're going to play through the campaigns of all of the games.
All of the games. We're taking the same band on the tour.
Right? Anutan. Yep.
It was Anus Tart.
Right.
All in...
we were using like umlauts and tildes and all the crazy letters that they gave us.
Yep. It looks great and it was like Gothic font or whatever it is.
We're from Stockholm. Oh no, is that is where
we're from Stockholm, Sweden.
Anutan.
Anutan makes sense.
We lean towards the metal. At least 2 over 3 members are metal.
And what the plan is every Wednesday, 6 p.m. So if you're in the area, I'm not going to give you my address, but stop on by.
Central Time.
Central Time.
Yeah.
We play. We can rotate instruments. We don't have a set guitarist or bassist. You and Bob switch.
Yeah.
If you were to jump in, you would just rotate in with us.
Sure.
And I felt like some point we'd probably rotate drummers for like a song or two too.
Yeah.
Just once we started like a 4-person rotation or something.
Yeah. I play mainly drums because nobody
he's definitely the best at drums by far. So
nobody wants it either. And then we're gonna see how long this career lasts. The first revelation playing it. 2 revelations. One, we're just out of practice. That's not really a revelation. We haven't fucking played in forever.
But I was like 2 songs, and we'll be back into getting like 98% on expert.
Yeah.
No.
We started on expert. We were fools.
Also, the game was not helping us in the random set list. Like they were punishing us early on.
Yeah. So now I think we've kind of accepted the fact that we might be a hard kind of band and not an expert.
I don't know.
Kind of
I think by the end of it, we were back on to expert. At least once I got all the dead bugs and Cheeto dust out of my guitar that I was using. The very first song, 3 out of the 5 buttons stuck. Like when I pressed them in, they stuck and wouldn't come out.
Yeah, that's how long we've used that guitar.
And then the green one, every time I push it, it crushes a little bit. Like crunches a little bit. There's something in there. Then by the halfway through the night, the tilt to release the overdrive, it just sounded like there was a bunch of pennies in there. It was like broken pieces moving around, and so I would have to use the select button to do the
Reese's like stuffed in
but
the guitar.
By the end of the night, all the pieces I had properly lubricated enough that I think the buttons are at like 95%.
Yeah.
But it was the tilt is still not great. So I will bring my guitar as like a backup.
Yeah.
But it is far better than how the night started off. It was rough.
It was rough.
It was a rough start.
We got some songs. We got a Fratellis song that I don't know what the difficulty is. It came up in a random set list. We all failed out.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. There are drum beats that I know that I've mastered in the past that now just made my brain kind of cramp up and like it just my legs stopped working, and I was just like, why am I doing so bad? Oh, that's right, because I'm not hitting the foot pedal.
Right.
Just my brain is just fried.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. We start the initial goal. Go play through all of them. We're going to take the career, on the road. It's like we're going to start with Rock Band 1 because it's also the easiest Rock Band.
Yeah.
Like Guitar Hero's always had their super hard songs, and Rock Band 1 has that, and it has a super hard
At the end
songs.
it gets super hard, but up until that point it's pretty
but even at the end songs of Rock Band 1 are doable. Green Grass and High Tides is hard, which is the hardest guitar song, but you save your
I would only say they are hard for if that's the first time you're learning to play like a rhythm game like that, and you're playing solo.
Yes, but
if you're playing as a band, it gets easier.
Yeah, because then you just save your specials. Like, hey guys, I'm gonna do really bad.
Yeah,
save it. Like we played Run to the Hills. I admitted I'm just like, hey, this is my worst drum song.
Yeah.
So you guys got to save me, and you guys did good.
We kept you in it. Yeah.
I
was watching you, and I wouldn't let you fail out. I was trying to save you before you failed out.
And then when your special ended up, Bob would tilt his, and that's how you get through the songs. So we'll do that for all of them. When you get to Rock Band 2. I know,
like Molly Hatchet and stuff.
Well, like Everlong itself on drums.
I really like that song, but on drums it's impossible.
Is impossible.
Yeah, you need 2 foot pedals.
So and then Rock Band 3, you got the fucking Fish songs and stuff like that are just like devil bars on every instrument, and you're just like, okay, we need to kind of work our way up to these. Maybe if we play through 1 and 2,
and
then 3, we'll have gained enough ability to play that. So we started that. It was the first week.
Yeah, so another thing, I don't know if you guys have not played Rock Band 1, but when you create a band, you have to have all of those and only those band members in your band, or you cannot do anything. So in the other games, you could switch out, like, hey, like I want to play the drums now, or oh, we got a singer, we'll have a singer come in for a song or two. You can't do that. Once you start the game, you gotta play with those members, and every one of them always has to be present.
Yeah. So profile-wise is what he's saying. So it's like, for instance, Chris signed in under his profile, not just like a guest account. And so if, Chris can't make it one week and it's me, Bob, and Jake, and we're just like, well, we'll just take Chris's spot, we would have to ask him for his login and password because he would have to be logged in for the band to register.
Yeah, also you would have to have 3 members and they would have to play those 3 instruments.
Yeah, we couldn't have one of it right now we have a guitar, bass, and drums because that's how you play rock band. You don't play with a singer. But if for some reason we have somebody who's like, oh, I want to sing...
Sorry. Yeah, wait for Rock Band 2.
Yeah, we'll switch in some random quick play songs, but we can't do it in a band.
Yeah.
So it's like little stuff like that, but
yeah,
we'll get through it.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, we're about 8% done. 8% done with the career.
Not even. There were so many cities to play in.
But are you liking it? Are you having fun playing games?
Yeah, I mean it's
success.
Yeah, it's fun.
Thing you got to play old games. That's just
We're playing on a CRT TV too, so
yeah.
I set up the surround sound.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
we're in a small room that has surround sound.
Yeah.
And so it's just like all music all the time. It's pretty great.
That
you
is
can't
awesome.
hear Phil drumming, so that's good.
Yeah.
Because when a couple of times when you would do your freestyles, it would kind of throw me off the beat.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're playing bass, you can't really hear it half the time.
Yeah.
So like I would go with that beat, and like you still do better drum fills than I do, but it's like once you start messing with the beat, I'm like, Well,
that's the hard part. Is like the drum fills, I try and keep on beat, but at the same time, like
it's also a rest for you.
How long's the drum fill to the point where it's like I don't want to just beat it constantly, but at the same time, like
no, it's a flaw in the game. It's not your fault.
Just like I still have to hit something so I can be able to trigger a special. Yeah, but it's just like I know that that's an issue. Is like if you're listening to try and keep a beat, you don't want me just going hitting everything, because then it's super loud and annoying, and then you're just like, well, that threw everyone off.
Yeah.
But
and early on in the game, because we're playing through the campaign, it sort of repeated the same songs a couple times, and that's fine. It's like, okay, you got to keep doing like, I got to do Wave of Mutilation like 5 times. The first 5 cities, they all have the same thing.
And then at the end, you're replaying the hardest songs like 5 times.
Yeah.
So it gives you a feeling for what it's like to be a band going city to city. At least you got to keep the same set.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we were playing through the first time, I was really focused on how much money we were getting, because it just didn't make sense to me. Like, we gained 8,000 fans, but only got $25.
Yeah, so that's called being a live musician, man.
Yeah, but like we had already won like the Battle of the Vans. We had a tour bus. We went to like all over Europe. At that point,
if you're paying for all of that travel, you're only going to profit $25.
But at the end of the night,
per diem for the day.
At the end of the night, we had like $1,500. So I outfitted my guy right before we left.
So all the money goes to Chris's guy.
No. Everybody gets their own thing. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone gets whatever the $1,500 that we finished the day with.
Right. So my guy's all decked out right now. You'll definitely want to play.
So your band of 3 actually made $75. You made this sound a lot.
Well, that's
worse
what
than
I
it
wasn't
was.
sure if it was divided, but you said no. That's what each person gets.
No, yeah, because they wouldn't do like weird decimal points.
Yeah.
So
you
like
have 33 cents.
Like, congratulations, your band of 3 made $50, and you're just like, oh, okay, so we all got 21 or whatever. I can't do math in my head after pixels, so that's
after pixels.
After pixels, 17.5 is what it would have. 1733, whatever. Not important. Anyway,
this is not a numbers podcast, guys. Just go home and play number crunching number punchers.
By far the best.
Yeah. Did
Just
you get
the
through
best
last
game.
week's? What did you think of the Vampire Dinosaur?
Vampire Dinosaur was okay, but I really liked your being on trial for murder, going back to the murder scene game.
Yeah.
Didn't have a title, but I liked it a lot. Even though Phil said you stole it after a certain point.
I didn't know. I honestly had never heard of that game.
It sounds like an awesome game.
Yeah.
It's like I said, like I think I said on the podcast, it's the first 20 minutes, you're like, wow, this is an amazing fucking game. And then
like Pixels.
Spoiler, like at the end of that game, you are fighting the internet. And it's not a joke.
Yeah. That's stupid.
It is a actual being that is just the internet. And you're fighting.
You guys remember that video game Max Headroom? Because he was in Pixels for some reason. I get it still sort of goes with the 80s stuff, but still, it was a little bit more confusing than even the other stuff for the kids in there.
Yeah.
My other news, I was going to say, I suck on this lemon.
Yeah, you've been eating this entire podcast. It's going to be great for the listeners.
You know what? Fuck them.
Hear that, Jake?
It's a good thing you got ice in your lemonade, so that you could chew on the ice for...
No, he had it over ice. It wasn't actually in the lemonade.
I've decided. We have a YouTube channel.
Uh-huh. Sure do.
We should have been running a camera this whole time.
We don't have any videos besides our 24-hour stream.
Yep. We had us playing Jawfrel.
So you're saying you want to get rid of your YouTube channel?
No, just the opposite.
What I'm announcing, you heard it here first.
You're going to review games for under $10.
No.
40 quarters is coming back!
If not the day you hear this, the day after our first video exclusive to YouTube.
That is such a deadline that you put yourself on.
Will be up.
Okay.
What
is it going to be about?
Is the video?
I have a couple of thoughts in my head.
It's still in the brainstorm phase, and you think you're going to get it up in 2 days?
It's one of 3 things.
Wait, so should we just wait and see?
Yeah.
No, it's because he doesn't know yet. That's why he can't talk about it if he doesn't know what it is yet.
No, but
I know exactly what the 3 issues are.
All right, well, you can talk off mic to us about it. How about that?
I mean, you probably know one of them.
If you want to drive traffic towards the video, maybe you should tease it a little bit.
The teaser is our podcast is called "This Isn't Fun Anymore."
Right.
I want to try and make games fun anymore.
Clearly, you're gonna have like a kid punch you in the balls like while you play a game.
Are you gonna go the PewDiePie route?
No, do like just yell at
Let's
video
plays?
games?
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
I mean,
it's video game podcast, so there's gonna be video game videos. And the only way to do video game videos is somebody playing the video game. So yes.
Are you gonna have a camera on you too?
Yeah.
Nice. So you're gonna do some Let's Plays.
I'm gonna do some Let's Plays.
Yeah. Are you gonna play good games?
No.
I'm gonna play games that...
They'll be games.
They will be games. I don't want to paint myself into a corner here about playing only good games, but the goal is... This Isn't Fun Anymore podcast. Right now, games aren't fun for us. That's the whole reason we created it.
Yeah. Right.
I'm going back to a time when games were fun for me, and I'm playing games.
So it's like, this is still fun anymore?
Sure. Like, okay, I'll just spoil it. I'll just spoil what one of the 3 videos are going to be, depending on who's available.
Spoiler.
If it is just me, I will play Escapists, and I'll do a Let's Play because that's one of our games of the month.
Yeah.
Just all the videos are going to be an hour length. That's it. They're going to be uncut. It's just going to be raw.
Just like Phil.
Just me. If you watch me play a game and I die 10 times in a row, you're going to fucking watch me die 10 times in a row. Like, I'm not cutting out. It's an hour. Show ends. Up on YouTube. It's not going to be twitched at first until I figure out how to do that with my computer. But the options are, if it's just me, it's Escapists.
Yeah.
If my buddy can come over on Saturday night after my parents leave, we are going to start playing through all the Mega Mans. In order, starting with Mega Man 1, NES game. You can probably beat those games in 2 hours, so it might be like 2 episodes a game. If he cannot make it Saturday night, me and Caitlin are starting a Super Nintendo game that I've always wanted to finish, but I've never been able to. It's called Secret of Mana. It was a Square game. It's basically a hybrid of Final Fantasy and The Legend of Zelda, which are 2 of my favorite
jams.
And that will be an ongoing segment.
That would be nice for me because I would then probably, like, it would help me understand why role-playing games are fun.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Why don't you, once you can, why don't you Twitch that hour and then put the video up on YouTube afterwards?
Because I'm
saying once you, if it's just a technical issue, that's cool. But I'm saying I would suggest that you do that. Make it like a weekly thing, and like always Twitch when you do it. If people can't make the Twitch, then they can watch the video on it.
So, right now it's a technical issue.
Okay.
I have to try and figure it to work out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to pay for a program just to be able to Twitch it. So I have a free program that will let me record the feed and a camera. It's basically XSplit. It's what we use for the 24-hour gaming marathon.
Yeah. That won't let you Twitch? You got to pay for it?
You got to pay. You have to pay. The reason I was able to do it is because we raised so much money. The first
we got a free trial.
That we got free like 3 months paid for.
But that's only that one service. It wasn't Twitch. Twitch in general, you don't have to.
No,
pay
Twitch
for
in general doesn't pay for
okay.
it. But like that's the program I use to do the collection. I'm still trying to figure it out. So maybe the first one won't be Twitch, but maybe the second one will be. But the other thing that I don't want to commit to is a set time. Because we know how good I am with it.
Well, that's why if you Twitch it while you're playing it, and then you put it up on YouTube for people that can't make it. So whether it's not because it's not scheduled every week, or because you know, people can't make it. So
if it turns out that I can eventually get the Twitch thing working, then I'll give people a heads up, and I'll be like, "Hey, we're gonna do the next episode of the Mega Man thing. We're gonna record it on Tuesday."
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah.
Well, you could just be like, "Hey, in an hour, I'm gonna do it."
Yeah.
That's what I did today. Not that it really got anybody there, but I think that's the method of how to do it.
But that's what I'm...
Yeah, it's not so much a scheduled thing with the internet. If you tell them, hey, this is happening in a week, they'll forget. If you tell them, hey, this is happening in 15 minutes... Well, no, I wouldn't
just be like, if it's today, I wouldn't be like, hey, Tuesday, August 44, which is a day. Be like, hey, I'm going to do this.
Fill in numbers, guys.
But like, because when I've set things on schedules, 40 quarters... The reason I gave up on 40 quarters is just because it came a job, and I don't want video games to become a job.
Right, so you set a new job for yourself of playing this all the time. And,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not gonna be like, hey Bob, every week we got to play through fucking Mega Man. It's gonna be like, hey, you know, we'll do Mega Man 1, and then 2 weeks down the road, I'll do a Caitlyn one, and then, you know, I happen to have another day off, so then I'll do a third one, like, right away.
Yeah.
It's just to grow the YouTube audience.
Nice.
Stop judging me, you stupid judger.
We're not. We're trying to help it.
It's unbelievable. Can't work under these conditions.
Phil, you only got 4 more episodes before you can walk out, so you're only contractually obligated to stay here for 1 full year of podcast.
Yes. And I'm out the door.
Well, you guys did miss a week, so it's got to be 50.
No, because we did 2, the one when we had the 24-hour marathon.
Oh, you motherfucker.
And we did 2 for the, no, never mind.
Yeah.
Say for the E3.
Absolutely.
But that was just 2 back-to-back, but it's because we pushed 1 forward.
Right.
Not part.
Yep. Okay, so it will be 52 episodes. It'll be
an entire
year.
Calendar year.
So what are you on right now? 35?
We are on 48 is this episode.
48, man. Wow.
Hard to think that you've been doing this a whole year and we have 4 viewers.
You know what?
Maybe 6. Round up.
Well, if you count the 3 in this room, yeah.
That's how it works, though. That's how it works.
Well, you know, half of that is on us because we're not pursuing any sort of outlets for it at all.
No.
We're just letting it happen semi-organically.
If you, like... Well, we can talk about this off
off
the podcast.
air, yeah.
Any gaming news for you two? Personal gaming news.
Jake, have you played anything since we last talked in, I think, February or March?
I finished Arkham Asylum.
Yeah?
Yep.
What did you think of it?
I loved it. One of the things, ever since being a video game tester, one of the things that kind of, prior to that, you know, I hadn't spent enough time video gaming to make a difference of it, but you start to, like, much like Adam Sandler in the fine film Pixels, you start to see the patterns, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you're like, this game lets you do this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing. And and those various things
They
happen.
set up those scenarios
so
one of them happens.
And then you know that you have to do this part now.
Yeah.
And then here you have like a little bit of free range to move around. But like, so every game does that. So then I would get to a point where I was just like, I've played half of this and I know the rest is going to be just like the other half, or at least the same elements.
Yeah.
So I don't need to play the rest of it. Arkham Asylum drew me through that, even though it was still doing all the same stuff. Like every time the boss thing happens, you know how to beat him, and and then when you get to final boss,
yeah.
It's a twist on that.
Right.
So like I really had a good time, and it was hard for me to beat, even on just like normal setting.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that about it as well. And all of the dark design elements of it are just awesome.
Just the whole art design is fantastic. I think
Phil, you played that game.
Right.
This looks pretty great.
I think all the character designs, I think they nailed them. Like,
yeah.
And all the voice acting's great.
Yeah.
You know, it's all the stuff from the animated series.
For sure.
Yeah, the one criticism that people have had of Arkham Asylum was that the boss fights weren't great, and they were kind of all the same thing.
Yeah.
But I think they did pacing really well, and I think they also did a good job of, like, giving you new gadgets at the right time that made sense to the story, but then also mixed up the gameplay, and that's why it didn't feel too much like even though it is the same thing, it was more bearable because they did it well.
Right. And it was so fun. In fact, all of the machinations of Arkham Asylum were so much fun that as soon as I finished the story, which is usually when I will like, okay, next game, what's the next thing? I'll try more Fallout, you know? Yeah. Because I have barely scratched the surface on Fallout, and it just seems so big that I get scared of working on it.
It's very intimidating.
Yeah, just because I'm like I have this little amount of time to play a video game, and then I know it's going to be like another week or a couple weeks before I get back to it, and I'll forget what I was doing in Fallout, you know. But anyway, so as soon as I finished with Arkham Asylum story, I started playing the little side games, like do the stealth mission here, or like a series of stealth missions, and you work your way up. So I started working on those, and like I was like, you know what, I could go through it because I only got like a little over half of the Riddler trophies. Right. So I was like, I knew where some of them were, but I couldn't figure out how to get to them.
Right, which is sometimes fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, I might go back in and nope, not going to do that. That seems like way too much work. I'm just going to play some of these little side missions for fun. Yeah. Which is where you guys and my guys are totally different.
Yeah, we have the same...
You would go in and punish yourself with those Riddler
trophies.
Right,
exactly. We have the same...
flagellating yourself.
Yeah, we have the same thoughts, the same emotions, but we can't stop ourselves from doing it anyways. Like, I just played through Arkham Knight again, the second time in the harder difficulty level, and I couldn't help but do every single side mission again to completion. I did absolutely everything. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do what I need to do for the story. Sometimes they pop up organically and you have to do the first one because it ties into the next story thing. Did them all. 200% story completion on that game now. It keeps track of that stuff, so that's cool.
Get up to 400.
I'm now number 1 on the leaderboard of all my friends. So, I mean, I don't know. I won't talk about it. We could talk about Arkham Knight a little bit if you wanted to, but
well, I mean, I listened to the last time you guys talked about it.
I talked about it more than enough.
Well, no, so. I thought it was. I liked hearing all about all that stuff because I know I won't play Arkham Knight until years and years go by.
Yeah,
because I should play Arkham City first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's more important, me playing Arkham City or me playing BioShock Infinite?
Arkham City. I think Arkham City is the second in a trilogy.
Sure.
And you want to get to Arkham Knight. Like, it's all Batman. You can't go wrong with Batman. BioShock Infinite.
Disagree. But anyway, go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
They can't.
You can't go bad with the Val Kilmer Batman, is what we're saying.
Disagree.
Right? But BioShock Infinite will always be there. Its impact will be the same if you play it now or in a couple of years.
Well, same with Arkham City, right?
Kind of.
What's a better game?
I just feel like because it's a standalone game, like you can wait on Infinite and play it whenever you want.
Okay.
But because, like, I don't know, just because Arkham Knight just came out, and like I said, there's 3 of them.
You're just really excited about Arkham series. Right
my vote, having not played either of them, but knowing enough about them,
would be to get some
kind
of Battletoads game. No,
would be play Arkham City because Arkham Asylum is fresh in your head.
Yeah, you just finished it.
If you were enjoying it,
I was.
You can go like, now I don't have to relearn the combat system.
Well, but
because
that's
it's
not
kind
even
of the same.
their combat system's so easy or so user friendly.
Yeah.
That what I'm worried about is it too much? Are the things that they do too much like Arkham Asylum? Because maybe it'd be better to take a break from it and not burn myself out on like Batman does this thing the same way and and you got to do the boss thing the same way.
Point. I would. It's gonna be. I mean, it's open world as opposed to more linear, so you can kind of fly around the city and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's still combat challenges. There's still Riddler trophies. There's still going into detective mode. There's still all that stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. I would say maybe if you're 100% on board right now and you're not sick of it at all, maybe try it out. But if not, maybe focus on the side missions, the challenges, all that stuff from Arkham Asylum, and just do that till you're sick of Batman game, and then stop.
Sure.
And then play BioShock Infinite.
Right.
So we can talk about that. You can come on the podcast and we can talk about that. And Phil can plug his ears.
I played the opening of it.
Right.
A while ago, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't the right time.
And you finished the first game entirely?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Loved it. Phil wouldn't like it.
I will say to you, Phil, don't play Infinite before. I know you wouldn't, but don't play Infinite before you play BioShock.
No, I'm going to start with BioShock 2.
And don't ever play BioShock 2.
I hear BioShock 2 is the best one, so I'm going to start with that one.
Yeah, and you're just going to do...
So you can save...
No, you're just going to do the DLC for BioShock 2, and you're not going to play...
I actually hear that Minerva's Den
is the best.
Is the best.
Yeah,
so and play the copper pennies of BioShock 2.
Minerva's Den is definitely the best part of that game. Those people left to make like Fulbright or whatever, and they're the ones that did Gone Home and are doing the new space one. So.
Yeah, so I'll start with BioShock 2. If I like that, then maybe I'll play BioShock Infinite, and then I'll finally round out to BioShock 1.
Yeah. Speaking of, you mentioned it briefly when we talked about news a couple episodes ago, but I hadn't seen it at the time, but the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 zombie mode is not at all what I was expecting. It's basically like BioShock. It has nothing to do with what I think Black Ops takes. The first one took place during Vietnam. The second one took place in like a future war. Sure. This one, I don't know where this takes place, but
under the sea.
The zombies area is basically they took sort of Extinction from the last one and zombies from all the other games, and it's like Jeff Goldblum, Ron Perlman, Heather Graham, and somebody else I'm forgetting, and they're in like a 1920s underground city. And they're fighting monsters. They're not really zombies. They're like alien creatures, sort of monsters / also zombies. and it has a completely different look. Like I said, it just looks like BioShock. There's even gumball machines that when you eat them, the different colors give you different abilities.
Oh.
One of them is you get demon arms from the darkness. Like, they're just stealing things from every other game. I just don't know why this was not a standalone game, because it's developed by a different company.
It's gonna be about it's gonna be about $20 add-on. I tell you that right now.
I don't know. I thought it was supposed to be part of the core game.
Buy?
I kind of want to play this, even though I know it's going to be bad. I have no interest in buying the core game, but if this was a standalone game, or this was its own game, because it's so different and so unique, there's no reason not for it to be its own game.
Well, so unique from the core game, not so unique from all the things that you said they just stole.
Exactly. So there's that.
Oh, hey, which brings me to my second point, which actually doesn't bring it to me at all.
I had another transition.
Yeah, fine, whatever, I don't care.
No one's saying the words transition. There we go. Now I understand what's happening.
We talked about Pixels. It was really bad. But I keep wanting to bring up this documentary.
I saw the Need for Speed movie also, but...
We're not gonna and I keep forgetting about it, but on YouTube, there's a full documentary. You just search Double Fine Adventure, and it's the documentary of them making Broken Age, which is the game they got a bunch of shit for, because first they broke records on Kickstarter to get so much money for this game,
and then they broke records from Hatred,
because they blah blah blah. Like, everyone knows the story, but they did a whole documentary, and it is really well done. And like, you can just watch like bits and pieces. There's like maybe like 20-minute sections. Watching they're just episodes, and it's actually like, if you want to like get the inside, like how games are made kind of information that you're not going to get from watching like most documentaries about video games, like this is like a real in-depth look where he's like, we've had to let people go.
They take it seriously, and it's not like a promotion for them.
Yeah, it's not a promotion for them. It was part of it was part of the Kickstarter. They're like, we'll make a documentary on this game, good, bad, hell, high water, and stuff like that. And it's just like, you one episode is like Tim Schafer like trying to come up with the story for the game and like his process and how he does it, and it's super interesting like how they break down. Like, some episodes are better than others, but just like one episode is like how he came up to name the game, and it turns out like all of his games, like the code names have been different bars that they'd go on. And like this one is called whatever, codename Red Steel, and it just happens to be like a bar that's in like the downtown area or whatever it is. But it's super interesting, and I totally recommend it, and I keep forgetting to mention it on the podcast, but it's free. Just YouTube Double Fine Adventure. It's probably about 30 episodes. They're all about 20 minutes apiece.
Is it free, or is it free because somebody stole it and put it on YouTube?
No, it's free. Okay. So initially on the Kickstarter, you'd get to watch it as the game was being developed. You were watching it in live time.
Sure.
Now that the game is out, they've just put everything on.
Yeah, their developer diaries as it was going on, and now it's just a documentary, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Transition. So speaking of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is now the #1 requested list on the backwards compatibility for Xbox 360.
Finally.
It has overtaken Red Dead Redemption.
Good. We need more Call of Duties in the world. I've always said it here on this podcast.
Yeah. So Fallout Shelter, the mobile game that I guess Caitlin's been into.
She's
over
done.
now.
She's done with it.
How long did she played for? A couple weeks though, right?
Played for a good couple weeks.
Yeah.
Then she was actually doing so well that like at first she had long story short, she had a bad time, ended up restarting.
Yeah.
And then figured out what she was doing wrong, and then she got to the point where she goes like,
I'm too good at this.
She's like, I have a huge population. I've built like 10 water plants, whatever. Like, the game is just purposely putting up walls to get me to be like pay money. They're just like, she's like, I don't know why my water is always low. I have like 10 water plants and like 10 people working in every water plant.
I had the same problem. Like, I thought it was like, oh, I did something wrong, and then it was me, metaphorically putting out fires all the time, even though there are actual fires to put out.
Yeah.
But it's like, I got to a point where it was just like, even though I did everything right on paper, I was behind.
What you were doing wrong was not spending your money.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've fixed a couple of those. Like, there was a patch this week that helped a lot of things, and also they're adding a bunch of new features. Both both characters, both things to do, all this other stuff. So it's getting a big update.
Yeah.
Also, it's finally coming out for Android August 13th. So if you wanted to try it once it finally comes out, just to delve into it.
I mean, like, It's almost I want to play it because you've talked about it and had good things, and Caitlin's talked about it and she's had good times, she's had fun. I'm still like I'm a one mobile game kind of guy.
Yeah, but it's kind of nice that it might have that sort of built-in end period for you, because most mobile games are created so you just play them forever until you get sick of them. Like I just can't do this anymore. But so if you can find a way to just like, hey, I want to play this for a week or two and then be happy that you're
I'll
over
download
it.
It's free. I'll download it. I'll probably put in a couple hours and then I'll decide if it's for me or not. But it's just one of those things where it's just like I was very surprised because she was super into it, and then on one day she's just like, I just deleted it. Like, wow, what happened? She's just like,
last I talked to her, she's like, I can't
20
stop
food
playing.
reserves, and my food ration still says like -1. Like I don't, it's broken. I just don't care anymore. Okay, cool.
So also QuakeCon is going on right now, and so Fallout 4 they announced that you can romance.
This isn't personal news. This is real news.
Fine, I just want.
We got like a 2.5 hour episode, and you're gonna.
We're at 125 right now. News. I know it feels like forever because of pixels, but we're not very far.
I'm going based on my clock, and it is past midnight.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, we can stop. I was just saying, time wise, we weren't over.
Do you have any personal news, Chris, about games?
No, but that was a perfect transition. That was news, and it was happening this week, so people get it current.
Jake's here. He doesn't need it now.
Just let me finish my sentence and we'll end it.
Okay.
So Fallout 4, they said you can romance companions. And it's weird because the only companion they've announced so far is that dog.
You can romance that dog.
So we'll see where that goes.
I don't think you have to work too hard. Just put out a little bit of food.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter does it.
One hand on each side.
And they also, it's like, they've recorded over 13,000 lines of dialogue over 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a shell of how much dialogue I have in my game.
Just a shell.
Just a shell.
Do I get to record a voice for your game?
I'm not going to do voices. I was thinking about it, though.
Yeah, you can record a voice. It's just not going to be in the game.
Yeah. I mean,
you can have all the voices.
You know, I was thinking about adding voices to the game, but I think that'd just be kind of cheesy.
Can I just do... Can you just add a voice for when you've paused it, and I'll just go... Pause.
Yeah,
no.
I'll do that. Glad.
No, just keep playing. You should keep playing this game.
Come back.
Maybe if you hover over the quit, that's what it says.
No, don't leave me. Just like Phil's phone that doesn't want to turn off.
Yeah, my phone doesn't turn off.
Don't kill me.
Yeah.
When you quit me, it's a nightmare. I'm conscious.
I'll just start singing Lisa Loeb's
Trapped in this
Please
video game. So that was an episode.
Sure was.
That's your new sign off. It has been for a while. So that was an episode.
Yeah, that's how we know when we're supposed to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you can follow us on Twitter at
you haven't been doing
Podcast.
You haven't been doing any big last titties and ice cream kind of stuff.
No, we haven't been doing titties and ice cream for a while.
You know what the problem is? We just can't get any ice cream. We got plenty of titties.
Right?
We just can't get the ice cream.
Titties galore, but the ice cream melts by the time we get to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you save it for the end.
Well,
you shouldn't. You should have it when it's ready.
Yeah, that's true.
Good times.
You can follow them at Not Fun Podcast.
Yep. So we'll let you know when
Twitter.
when we're gonna Twitch and stuff like that. Follow us.
There's a website.
So you get that. Yep.
This isn't fun anymore. Podcast.com. You should mix it right and left because that was pretty good. You can follow Phil. Let me get Phil's number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil's new street address is...
My cell phone number. It's 911.
Press 9-1, and when I say so, press 1 again.
We have a YouTube. We'll start seeing some activity soon. God.
Called This Is About to Be Fun YouTube.
Yeah.
About to Be Fun, the channel.
No, that's not true. It's This Isn't Fun Anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yep.
And hopefully we get some stuff up there soon.
And Jake has already promised to do some exclusive videos on that channel.
Let me ask you guys this. You started this because video games weren't fun anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're going to try and make YouTube not fun for yourself.
Yeah.
So,
No, he read that correctly.
Taking screen caps for Twitter stopped being fun.
Something that you started on your own.
The podcast itself. Is this still fun?
No.
No, I would say it kind of burned out like halfway through episode 1.
This isn't fun anymore?
The podcast, there's weeks where I go, I have nothing to talk about. This is not going to be fun. That's what I say to the mirror, and then I wink, and then I get in the car.
And he slowly kisses it. And then it's just the same thing of having to do something every single week can sometimes get annoying.
Sure.
It's a schedule.
Yeah.
If there's no news, if there's no news and we haven't played any games for whatever reason, then it's just like we have to stretch me playing Final Fantasy, which is can't talk about because it's boring to talk about, and like we have like okay, well, hey, in the news today, McDonald's opened up a second location, and then we're just like, oh.
I think what would solve that problem is just more preparation. So, like, if we knew, like, for a while, I would just, like, if I saw a news article, I'd, like, write it down so I'd remember to talk about it. Then I just stopped writing down anything. Yeah. And now it's, like, because, Jake said he likes news and all that other stuff, there's so many things that I see during the week that I just don't remember to talk about. Normally, I wouldn't think they were, worthy of us talking about them. But if we just do a whole bunch of news, like, I'm fine with doing, like, 65% news, 35% of what we're playing.
Well, like I get all of my video game news basically from you guys.
Right.
I don't know, like, and I know. Well, I know
we don't even report facts.
Well, no, but like I'm here, because you guys have thought so much about video games in your own experience that I get it from people who know like what it means that this is happening, like and who's involved and what the things were that came before and all that stuff.
I think the news works well because it's a back and forth. We're constantly actually discussing something, and it's our personal like opinions about something. So it's like, okay, that's what makes this different than somebody else's podcast. And I feel like the problem with the games is we're never playing the same games, and so it's like we don't want to spoil anything. We don't want to talk specifics, so we talk in weird generalities, and it's just hard to articulate anything. So we're basically just explaining the story or the mechanics of the game, and that's less fun.
Well, it's like a pitch, right? You're like pitching like you would to a friend, like, this is what I'm playing.
Right.
This is like here, because you are kind of doing it just across the table.
Right.
No. Which is the follow-up question. Since this podcast stuff is set up here in this room,
in this professional studio,
anybody else in your family recording podcasts that we don't know about? And can we listen to them?
How would I know if we don't know about them?
Well, that we don't know about. Maybe you know.
This does not stay like this during the entire week.
Oh, okay. So you got a lot of post-episode
and
work
Phil's
to do.
been taking that microphone home every night so he can do all his videos that he promised us.
Promised on this episode.
Yeah, it's just going to be you lip-syncing the soundtrack to Pixels, isn't it?
It's not the soundtrack, it's the movie. I recorded it with my phone.
Yeah, he did. He couldn't turn his phone off, so he just recorded the whole thing.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm just going to tap it in, and then I'm just going to mouth all the words.
If we were smart, we would have recorded that guy laughing, just to add that into the podcast.
Thank you guys for forcing me to see this awful movie tonight.
Yep.
And for having me over to your podcast.
Thanks for coming. We also did some other things that we didn't even talk about. We played Mortal Kombat.
We did.
We played Quiplash.
That's on the Twitch.
Yeah. That one viewer saw it for like 30 seconds.
There are 3.
All right, Jake, you have 25 seconds. How'd you like Mortal Kombat?
I liked it. I think in order to actually sustainably play it, you would need to like devote yourself to a character
and learn
and
the moves
start
and stuff.
working your way through one character's moves.
Yeah.
To play it for a sustained period of time.
Yep.
Was it fun to see Jason and Predator in the game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, and Jason's super cool. I love when he gets struck by lightning.
Yeah.
And I love that, like, as soon as you kill him, he's back with a little bit more health.
Right.
Like, it's so horror movie. And all the horror movie, like, score kind of stabs are just perfect. That's great. And Predator has some super cool stuff.
Yeah, we only played like one
laser cannon. And
yeah, we only played like one variant of each of those characters. Like there's another variant of Jason that he has like a teleport called Lake Mist, where Lake Mist appears behind him and he goes through it and he comes up behind you. Just things like that. Like each variant has like one or two little fun Jason things.
Sure.
How'd you feel about Quiplash?
I liked Quiplash as well. I thought it was fun. I think it'd be more fun with more than 3 people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the premise is there. You know, they make decent games. They're fun. This one, we've talked about it before, but this one's more reliant on just people having joke answers. There's no like right answer like the trivia game.
No, and but it's like group party game kind of mentality. Everyone get out their iPhone and come up with a funny answer to this question. People vote on the answers.
I feel like, and I hate using this word because it's never come up in like real life to me, but it's like that perfect like icebreaker party game.
Sure.
Where like if for some reason you were having a party and not everyone knew each other, you could put up Quiplash and you could be like, anyone wants to play,
because it's like semi-anonymous and you gotta get to show your personality and it brings the energy up. Like everyone starts laughing and having a good time.
That's true, but I feel like Quiplash is a little bit more of a loaded thing to where like you feel you have something to prove a little bit more. Like the one that we played on the 24-hour live stream last time, the hours.
The Fibbage, that one?
Fibbage.
Yeah.
Fibbage, I think, is the perfect icebreaker game.
See, I think
I flip flop them for you because fibbage there's an actual right answer.
Yeah.
So people could
just want to be like get everything right,
could
and not
just
worry about
look
being
at
funny
it like
and
it's
like
Buffalo Wild Wings trivia, and they're just up there and they're just like I know the right answer, and then whatever, they don't care about making a fake answer, so they just put whatever like fart or whatever. That's only if you're playing with 8-year-olds or me, I guess.
Yeah, you.
But for Quiplash, because there's no right answer, like the only thing you have to go on is like kind of be funny or clever. So at least to me, it's just like, I mean, I can see it both ways, right?
Because then if you don't feel particularly funny or clever, you're like, oh man, everyone's gonna hate my answer.
But yeah, I think fibbage, you can play different roles in it.
Yeah.
You can be the guy that doesn't want to get the right answer, is just having ridiculous answers that nobody's gonna pick, but you want to make people laugh. You can be like, okay, I want to do something that's like
the
just
fake out.
just the left of the right answer. I know what the right answer is, so I'm just gonna figure it out.
So I feel like there's less room for judgment.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess I was just thinking like Quiplash is you just look at your phone and it says like
you can certainly ignore the game more when you're playing fibbage. Like you can ignore the people in the room, but like Quiplash is like head to head two people, so they're kind of in the spotlight for a moment at a time.
And I do look for any game where you can ignore the people in the room. That's basically my whole.
Yeah.
That's why I liked Arkham Knight so much. Asylum. I haven't played Knight.
I know. You'll get there. You'll find it.
5 years.
So yeah.
Yep.
That's an episode. Titties and Ice Cream.
Titties and Ice Cream.
When are we doing our
next week
game episode?
Are you ready to do it next week?
Yeah, I'll be ready.
Okay. So are we gonna make the internet a promise right now?
I mean, we might as well, so that they know that they only have 1 week left to play it.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, as for a month we've been promising you the next installment of our monthly games.
Monthly games.
Podcast episode. So next week we are doing
We're gonna do 2 games.
We're doing 2 games. I would say spoilerific, but neither game can
There's
be spoiled.
There's nothing to spoil. They're straight just like mechanical games. They're not story driven.
But tune in for their reviews of
our in-depth talk of
Katamari Damacy.
Woo-hoo. And The Escapist.
Woo-hoo. So make sure you have those games played to the point you want to play them, or not at all.
Or just look them up on your phone and see what they look like, so you know what we're talking about.
Yep.
That's not even necessary. Last time I had not experienced either of the games that you said. And I loved listening to the episode. So.
Okay.
What I will
say, do you think you could describe it to a sketch artist and they could get an accurate description of what the games were like?
No.
Okay.
I will say for these 2 games, I don't foresee us going the full length of the podcast.
No, I have almost nothing to say about Katamari other than like just, hey, this was the thing. This is the mechanics.
Really? I'm reverse. I have more to say about Katamari.
Well, and this is why you guys are the perfect podcasting duo.
The problem was that when we were having our Rock Band night, we kind of talked about The Escapist.
Yeah.
And because we're telling the other buddy that was there about it, right? Well, we just went in, and so it's kind of hard to repeat yourself again and say the things that we already said.
But what I will say is we'll probably talk about those, and we might have news episodes. So it might not be a full 2-hour episode of just those 2 games.
Well, you got plenty of news articles left on that little sheet of paper.
But that is next episode, and then in the coming weeks we'll draw another game for the monthly game podcast.
Yeah, BioShock. It's all going to be BioShock.
Nice.
Until next time, titties and ice cream.
That's weird. You guys stopped at the same time. They're going to think it cut off.
I was trying to.
I was going to add a third beat.